Okay, so I had a list of questions that I wanted to ask for this eclipse energy, full moon in Virgo. Shout out to you. And it's funny because as soon as I went through my shuffling process and spirit guided me to a specific process this time, um, the first question wasn't one that I had written down. I heard spirit say, "What is going to be rewarded at this time?" And out came the Three of Pentacles. So essentially, looking at this card, it's it's like you're finally showing your work. Look at how he's holding that pentacle up. He's been working on them because here's the other two pentacles. He's the only one here in this picture. So the reward looks like it's what you've been working on. And you're like, hi, look, this is it. And then the interesting part about that, the next card that came out for the question of what is being released, the sun came out. And what came to mind was what's being released is this fear of being seen, this fear of fully embodying yourself, because the sun can't fucking hide. It's in the sky, and it, like, unless it's cloudy that day, you're bearing it all, honey. And I think that's what's being released is that inner light of yours. Gorgeous, darling. And then what's being up for review, we have the moon. What's being up for review is your intuition, well, the moon is also your shadowy parts. It's the unconscious. So it's almost like establishing more trust in your intuition. What's being under review with this moon card is that emotionally watery depth within you that we sometimes shy away from looking at because shit gets deep. It's intense. Just like the ocean, we haven't explored everything yet. So it's the unknown. It's kind of intimidating, you know? And this time you're shining a light on it. And I love that the sun and the moon came out together because that's masculine and feminine energy. So it's almost like merging those two together. But here was the interesting part, was the next card that came out was Two of Wands. You have a choice. You have a choice between following the moon and staying hidden. The moon is at night versus being seen like the sun standing out. But I'm almost hearing spirit say, you don't have to choose a path. You make your own path. So you can go straight down the middle of these two wands if you really wanted to. The choice is yours, is what spirit is saying. The choice is absolutely yours. And how beautiful would it be to be able to walk between those two worlds and be able to shine your beautiful, wonderful light while also not neglecting those shadowy, subconscious aspects of yourself. Showing your whole authentic self is what I'm hearing. And that's a perfect segue for the next card, Queen of Wands. That's the challenge here, is standing in that power, standing in your fire, standing in your light, not being afraid to showcase who you are, showing the world who the fuck you are. Excuse my French. But yeah, the Queen of Wands, she is bold, she is fiery, she is courageous, she is creative. And usually she has a black cat in front of her, showing that she's not afraid to show those shadowy aspects of herself, even if people think it's deemed bad, you know, just like people might think black cats are bad luck, but it's all in how you perceive it. So you can't really control how people are going to perceive you, but you can absolutely stand in that power no matter what, because you know who the heck you are. Yes, you do. And then after that came the Tower. And the Tower came out as, I want to say, your leverage? Yeah, leverage, meaning it's it's amazing that things are being changed around in your world because it gives you the opportunity to remove this false foundation of that was based on external validation. You're now going back in to rebuild that inner sense of self, inner sense of confidence, self stability based on your true light, your true self, not putting that power in the hands of someone else, but reclaiming that light. And sometimes it's a little overwhelming because it's like, well, who am I going to blame for things now? You don't have to blame anyone if you own your shit, you know? So that is your leverage here, is being able to rebuild that foundation. And it's funny because usually when the Tower comes out, people get so afraid of having to rebuild, but that rebuild is your leverage. Take advantage of that Tower moment. Fully grasp it, and Spirit's telling me that you've done this before. You know that you can handle it. It's nothing new that you can't handle. You can absolutely do this. And here's the kicker of all of this. The advice here is the Devil. I know, right? How even? Well, this is how even. The Devil represents those limiting beliefs that chain us down, that we think is real, so we stay. But I'm hearing the advice is, as mentioned, you recognize these things that are weighing you down, and you are making the decision to unchain yourself. But for some reason, there's another message that's coming through of embracing those shadowy aspects of yourself, that those shadow parts that you kind of shunned to the underworld to not be seen. Your advice is to unchain them. Let them go out and play. Because the more you let your shadows play, the more you're being full. And then of course I'm being shown the peacock spirit here. You're allowing yourself to fully shine. And people who are not okay with that, they're not for you. But at least you're not diminishing yourself anymore. Because at the bottom of the deck, we have the Five of Cups. See how these 3 cups are fallen and he's crying over that. Meanwhile, these 2 other cups are like, hey, did you forget about us? We didn't leave you. That gives me full on like self-betrayal, self-abandonment, because you're so focused on how the external world is not accepting you as you are. Well, it's because you're not showing up as you really are. It's like, no wonder it's not that they don't like you, it's that they don't like this persona that you're pretending to be, you know? You're turning your back on yourself. So the 2 of Cups or 5 of Cups, the 2 of Cups is almost, it's like reclaiming that relationship within yourself and turning back into yourself and holding these different parts of yourself, because usually the 2 of Cups, they're complete opposites. You're allowed to be, what's the word? You don't have to stay contained to a certain persona. Like, you're allowed to be and show different parts of yourself. We're not, cookie cutter, one size fits all. We're complex human beings, and we're supposed to be. We're souls having this human experience, So the 5 of Cups at the bottom of the deck is just kind of the overall theme of stop crying about who isn't going to accept you, and you start accepting you, and watch how all this magic starts to co-create with you. And of course, I'm looking at the scarab beetle right here. Magic works through you, but how can it work through you if you're not showing yourself? And the last, And then the swan here, swan spirit, time for a deep dive. The more you understand your subconscious self, the more graceful you are in movement, the more you're able to have more self-compassion for yourself, more self-understanding, but you'll have that for other people. So when people reject you, it's not going to feel like a big deal because you know who you are. You've seen those shadowy aspects of yourself and you've forgiven those parts of yourself. So you're able to forgive people that aren't on that level because you understand it's not a personal thing, it's a vibrational match. And if we're not a vibrational match, that's a-okay because someone out there is, and we know this. And the bottom of the deck over here is the deer spirit. Bring a gentle touch. So it's like when you're walking through a forest and you spot a deer. What do? Do you make all this noise and because you're going to scare it away. You observe. So just as when you see these different aspects of yourself, don't automatically judge it and make all this noise to try to make sense of it. No, observe it as though it's a deer walking through the forest and feel that deep sense of gratitude and honor for being shown this beautiful deer that's gracefully walking through this forest that seems so thick and dense, and yet this deer comes to say hello. So it's I'm getting all emotional now. Happy full moon in Virgo. I love you.